It is my great pleasure to formally introduce the new head coach of the Florida Gators, Billy Napier.
Scared money don't make money, you know.
We've got a goal here to play a brand of football that creates a great sense of pride. It takes 11 people doing their job. We get to decide our future.
Hey Gator fans, Hayes Carlyon here. Welcome back to another edition of Bringing Back the Gators, summer project we're so fired up about. In the third year that our good friends at Harrell & Harrell have sponsored this podcast. Harrell & Harrell, I've known Holt and Julie Harrell literally since high school. I just turned 46 years old, okay? I've known them for a long time. They're great people. They're Jacksonville people through and through. You couldn't be in better hands. Call them at 251-1111. Hopefully you won't need them. But if you or a loved one have been in an injury, Harrell & Harrell is the direction you need to go in, 251-1111. All right, well, we're incredibly excited. We're going to get this thing started off the right way. Thanks to my buddy here, Graham Marsh, producing for us. We are on fire to start bringing back the Gators. Last week we had the chance to talk to head football coach Billy Napier. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. This week, Florida Athletics Director Scott Stricklin. Obviously, this is the man of the hour in terms of the hires that he has made. Billy Napier, very quick target. Scott Stricklin didn't mess around. Fired Dan Mullen, or they parted ways, however you want to phrase it. Just about less than a week later, Billy Napier is hired. Scott Stricklin knew who he wanted and went and got his guy. And I think bright days are ahead for the Florida football program. But then Scott Stricklin goes and also makes a men's basketball hire because Mike White chooses to leave Florida to take on the Georgia job. So we also are going to get just briefly into Todd Golden as well, the new Florida men's basketball coach that we're really excited about. So really appreciate Scott Stricklin's time, and hopefully you'll enjoy the interview. Boy, are we pleased to welcome in Scott Stricklin. Scott, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. What a time to be a Gator. National championships in track, a sweep. That had to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, really special way to wrap up the sports year, Hayes, when you have a chance to win both the men's and women's outdoor titles, and seems really appropriate that the women, the last athletic competition of this, the 50th anniversary of women's sports at the University of Florida. And we cap it off with our women winning their first ever outdoor NCAA track and field championship to complete an indoor-outdoor sweep for our women this year. So really special. A lot of credit, obviously, to Mouse Holloway and a group of remarkable athletes. And, there's always a lot of highlights during the course of a Gator sports year, but that was a fun way to wrap it up.
Yeah, no question about it. And we're looking forward to some more fun this coming season and coming academic year. And Scott, obviously, you're the man of the hour in terms of choosing Billy Napier to relaunch the Florida brand of football. And I know you've talked with us. We had a great time speaking with you at the spring game. You guys were very kind enough to welcome us in for that. We had a great time. But how has it been with Billy now that you've been working with him day in and day out, just seeing the kind of leadership and culture that he's brought to the Gator football program?
Well, you use two words right there that I would start with when talking about Billy, and that is his leadership skills and the culture piece. He's very purposeful about everything he does. And I'd run out of adjectives talking about him, or at least I can run through a long string of them. Discipline, work ethic, but his leadership skills, the way people respond to him, his vision, and then the ability to build culture and pour into people really make him a special person. And it's going to really benefit the Gators. He is so strategic and thoughtful, and everything he does is got great purpose, and that's really going to pay benefit for the Gators and our football program for years ahead. And he's a guy that's I think has a chance to do something we talked about during the hiring process, which is create sustained success. Obviously, the best to ever do that at the University of Florida is Steve Spurrier, as far as a sustained period of success. We've had other pockets since then, I think we've had 4 different coaches take us to the SEC championship game, but the ability to really build something that doesn't ebb and flow takes a real vision, a real sense of purpose, and a real plan. And I think Billy's a guy that has a lot of promise to lead us in that direction.
Yeah, and Scott, I like what you said about the way people respond to him, because I knew Billy Napier was sort of a hot rising name in collegiate football coaching, but I didn't know a ton about him. I hadn't watched a lot of Louisiana football. And then you guys, you hire Billy, and obviously we're all locking in on his championship game against Appalachia State, and the team played so together. A lot of times the coach is taking another job. Maybe they don't seem as crisp, but boy, that team was so together and organized. They get a big win over a big-time program. And then that scene in the locker room where Billy is talking to his team and talking about the values of football, and says, I'm getting on a plane, I'm going to the next stop, but I love you guys. And their reaction, I mean, boy, it just seems like if that is something that can be brought to the University of Florida, man, big things could happen.
Yeah, a lot of times you see coaches who move on to other opportunities. It could come across as a selfish move, and you don't have to spend a lot of time around Billy to realize that he's a selfless person, and it comes through when we talked about the culture word, how he builds his culture, and it really creates a connectivity between everybody who in the program, whether it's the coaches, the players, the support staff, you name it. I think it'll bleed over into the fan base as they get to know Billy more and more in the years ahead. And when you have that kind of selfless culture where it's not about any one individual, but it's about what the collective organization, collective team, the program can accomplish working together, you get those special situations like that where you're happy to see someone go on and have other opportunities because they've taking the time to pour into those around them.
Absolutely. And Billy obviously wanted to build an infrastructure. How has that gone? Building the staff that he's built. Obviously, you guys were already well underway with the new facility, but the infrastructure of the athletic department, the football program, how is that improved under Billy's watch, in your opinion?
He's put a lot of pieces in place. In fact, he might tell you he's put in the short time he's been here, he's put nearly all of them in place from a personnel standpoint, infrastructure standpoint, the processes that he and his staff are going to use to do everything from evaluate to recruit, to the strength program, the nutrition program, the life skills Gator Made program, which he talks so much about, making sure that this isn't just about bringing young men in to play football, but it's about so much more from an educational life experience standpoint. All those things, he's really done a great job of selecting quality people to come in and be a part of the UAA and help create that structure. Now we got to go through the process of going through a season and building a team, and obviously we've had a spring ball under their belt, but the really fun time of year is coming up here in a month or so, where the team gets to come back together. And when they do come back, they're on campus now, but when they come and start fall camp in early August, they'll be in that new Hebner Football Training Center, which will be another huge important piece of building a sustainable program. So there's a lot of things coming together at the right time, and I know we're all excited to see the first season of the Gators under Billy Napier.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, what were your impressions of the team from spring? Because they certainly look sharp in the spring game that we got to see.
Just going through watching the practices, you can your term about them looking sharp. There's a lot of focus on repetition and fundamentals and efficiency. Meaning during practice there wasn't a lot of wasted time. There was always another drill that somebody could be in. They weren't, while some guys were doing the drill, it wasn't a bunch of guys sitting around watching. Those other guys had moved on to another drill. There's a lot of stations, and it goes back to being purposeful and having a structure and a plan about everything that happens. So there's going to be a lot of, I think you're going to see a disciplined team. You're going to see a team that has a certain style that they want to play. They're going to be physical. He has put a lot of emphasis on the offensive line to the point where he has 2 full-time on-field assistants assigned to coaching the offensive line. We may be the only Power 5 program that has that situation. So they're going to have a lot of, emphasis on physicality. Obviously, we've got a really talented quarterback situation. Anthony Richardson coming back, local kid that, has got a lot of talent. And Billy's going to have an opportunity to kind of build that offense around Anthony and the running backs and that offensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. What's been your opinion of Anthony, getting to know him as a kid? What kind of kid is he?
He's quiet. There's not there's a real sweetness about Anthony. I mean that in a positive way. He is a very kind individual who is, still relatively young, 18, 19. I don't think he's 20 yet. And he came in a year early, and he's, in a short period of time, kind of taken on that mantle of leadership, but he's also growing and learning as a leader. And Billy would probably tell you that's the one area of focus right now with Anthony is making sure he understands all the parts of being the leader of a team, and the quarterback position is obviously a natural leadership position. But really a good kid, and it's nice that you have a local kid who can be in that position. It makes for a really good story.
Absolutely. Scott, it's so much fun seeing the things, the videos that you guys post on social through your channels. And one of the ones that stood out to me in talking about the facility was there was one where the door is rising, I think, to the locker room. And Katie Turner is there with a couple of players, and it captures their reaction when they see it. Can you kind of give fans a sense of, from a convenience standpoint, what this is going to do at an efficiency standpoint, what this is going to do for the football program, but also just the spectacular features of it that you guys are so proud of?
Sure. In that video you're talking about, it was the players. It wasn't in the locker room, but it was actually showing them what their lockers were going to look like in the new locker room. And
okay,
that's something that we're not really sharing with the public right now, but
sure,
it's pretty phenomenal and special. And you always want to have a carrot out there for people wanting to be a part of the program. And so that's something that when the facility's complete here in a month or so, if recruits want to see that, they've got to come on campus. It's probably not going to be on social media to see how cool those lockers really are in person, but there's not anything like them in college or pro football. They're incredibly unique. But from an efficiency standpoint, the Hebner Football Training Center is 140,000 square feet that's been built adjacent to the current practice fields and the Condren indoor practice facility right there where old McKeithen Stadium used to be. And, I guess for an awful long time, as long as those practice fields have been located there, the football team has had to move from the south end of the stadium at Ben Hill Griffin all the way over there next to the track facility where the practice fields are to practice. And at one point we counted it up. It was like over the course of a whole year, including spring ball, the team walked 45 miles back and forth to practice. So that's an illustration of they're going to walk out their locker room, the back door of the building, and be right there on the practice field. So just from a time efficiency of getting back and forth to practice, but it's so much more than that because the way the facility's been designed from a traffic flow to the training room, to weight room, toward the indoor, meeting spaces, coaches' offices, dining hall, all right there in one place, one location. It's going to make a huge difference in how our team operates on a day-to-day basis. And obviously facilities also tell people what's important to you because where your priorities are. Football is a priority at the University of Florida. And so when visitors come, when recruits come, they're going to see a physical manifestation that the sport of football is incredibly important at Florida.
Absolutely. And Scott, it seems like Billy's really got that funnel full of blue chip prospects. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you about anybody individually, but just in terms of how it's going, it seems like the amount of the 4s and 5 stars that are wanting to, come check out Florida, check out the campus and the football program, it seems like he's doing a magnificent job with that.
Yeah, he's very purposeful about creating those relationships and building those bridges, and starts with kind of people he surrounded himself with. They say you can tell a lot about a leader by who they surround themselves with. And I talked earlier about their staff. The staff he's put together, really exceptional people. They bring a lot to the table from a coaching qualification standpoint, but they are really good at connecting and engaging and building those relationships are so important in recruiting. And regardless of what's going on with NIL, and that's obviously something that has been an interesting dynamic in the world of college athletics here in the last year. Relationships still matter, though, and the ability to develop those relationships, and the more you can do that, and the longer you can have the time to do that, you're going to see real big dividends pay off, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and you guys will have a fantastic opportunity in the opener when Utah comes in. Have you given yourself a chance to think about what that environment is going to be like at 7 o'clock when the Gators run out on the field for the Billy Napier opener and the electricity that's going to be in that building?
It'll be a unique season opener for the Gators to host another Power 5 opponent, and in this case, preseason top 10, top 5, depending on what poll you're looking at. The defending Pac-12 champion, they played in the Rose Bowl a year ago. I don't know that there's ever been a situation quite like that. Maybe decades ago, but in the modern era of college football, I don't know that the Gators have had a situation where we have an opener at home, with a team of that stature coming in. So it'll be, you got the natural excitement of a first-year head coach. You have the natural excitement of a season starting, and you add on top of that, a really quality opponent in Utah. It's going to be unlike what's been seen around here in a long, long time, and it should be, night games in the Swamp are always special. This one's got a chance to be even more so, and as we get the chance to kick off the Billy Napier era.
Yeah, I can't wait to be there. I know there's single game tickets now. Obviously, season tickets available. Update us on for fans that want to get to that game and get tickets for the Utah game and the other games.
Absolutely, Hayes. FloridaGators.com. Go to the website, click on a ticket link. There's a phone number on there if you'd like to call and talk to a voice, but you're also able to do it all online if you so desire. A lot of ticket packages available, the full season ticket package, and throughout the stadium there's still some seats available, even though our sales have been really strong up to this point. There's a lot of flex packages where mini game packages that you can if you need a full season ticket package doesn't fit your needs, there's some other options there that you can look at. You can buy a 3-game package or a flex package where the flex package is really interesting, where you buy a reduced price season ticket, but you won't know your seat location until the week of the game, and it may change from week to week depending on where inventory is available. But it gives people a chance to kind of get a full 7-game season ticket package at a lower price point, and also sit around some different parts of the stadium. You may decide you find one you really like, and the following year you may want to lock in a specific location. And we also have single game tickets available, as you said, and no surprise, we just started putting those on sale to the general public this week. The Utah game, that season opener, and that LSU game in mid-October are both really popular early on, and if you plan on attending those games and haven't done so, I encourage you to go online and secure your tickets as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And Scott, I really appreciate your time talking about Billy Napier and the football program, but I got to ask you also about Todd Golden. We had the opportunity to speak with him when we were doing the Frangie show at the Orange and Blue game, and my gosh, he was so impressive. So let me ask you, we're really excited about men's basketball as well. What's it been like getting to work with Todd Golden? What have you seen out of his philosophies as he looks to put his stamp on the Gators basketball program?
Well, like Billy Napier, there's a tremendous amount of strategic thought and planning that goes into everything Todd does. But on top of that, just an incredibly engaging personality, really positive attitude. You mentioned your time with him. You can tell he's got an infectious energy about him that really kind of draws you towards him, right? And then you start to hear him talk about the way he sees the game, the way he sees putting a roster together, the analytics piece that he has kind of embraced. Candidly, not a lot of people in college basketball have embraced it to the level he has. And it's pretty easy to kind of get excited and think about the future ahead with him. He's a relatively young guy. He turns 37 next month, but he's got a lot of years ahead of him in this business, and I think he's got incredibly high ceiling. He's got a chance to really make a name for himself in the world of college basketball.
Fantastic. Yeah, Scott, we're so excited about the men's basketball turnaround as well as football. Todd Golden, Billy Napier, it's going to be a lot of fun. Really appreciate your time today, Scott. Look forward to seeing you at the Utah game. Really appreciate Scott Stricklin's time. And I tell you what, it's going to be fun around there at Florida. Once again, I want to thank our sponsor, Harrell & Harrell, 251-1111. Hopefully you won't need them. But look, if we know injuries happen, Harrell & Harrell, a Jacksonville firm through and through, large enough to fight anyone. They've got all the resources that they need, but they're local, and they're going to know who you are when you call them. So again, I've known Holt and Julie for so many years now. You couldn't be in better hands. Hopefully you won't need them. But again, Harrell & Harrell, if you do have an injury, 251-1111. Well, Graham, I thought Scott was outstanding. I thought the thing that I took away from it was him talking about the way people respond to Billy Napier. And we talked about that, that post-game locker room scene where he's leaving the Raging Cajuns. They just beat App State for the conference title. And just to see that team rally around him like they did when they know that's the last time they're going to see him. At that point, he's no longer your coach. I mean, but I thought it really showed a genuine bond between Billy Napier and his team.
And it was a clear Scott, he's not going to like outright say this, but it's a clear difference from the last guy.
No question.
Right. The last guy, his entire last year, we probably should have all been more concerned about this, but all last offseason, it was constantly, is Mullen going to take an NFL job? And you knew he wanted to take an NFL job. And that kind of, I don't even know how to say it, but that kind of like bond with your team wasn't really there anymore. And it was clear that it was really important to Stricklin to get that back. And also, the reason I think talking to Stricklin was interesting, anytime you get the Florida AD, you want to do that on a podcast like this, of course, but it's a little bit different because this hire is a mentality change. It's different from, okay, the last guy was a defensive guy, it didn't work, let's hire an offensive mind. The last guy was an offensive mind, let's hire. It's different from that. Like, this is a structural, fundamental change in how the Florida Gators play football in terms of recruiting and the staff, and it's getting with the times, and Golden's the same type of hire. So I thought it was super interesting to hear Stricklin just talk about that.
Yeah, I agree. I really do think the Gators are on their way back in both. I mean, and it's not like you're rebuilding from scratch. I mean, football's done some good things recently. Last year was tough, but they did go to a bowl game. I mean, it's not like they were 3-9. And the years before that, they were going to New Year's Six games. The basketball program was regularly making the NCAA tournament. They just weren't as competitive in the SEC race as they should be. So it really is going to be a lot of fun. I think Scott Stricklin has hired two outstanding coaches, and we'll be all football from here on out. But I thought it was a good opportunity to kind of throw men's basketball a little bit of a carrot on this episode as well, because of the basketball team kind of being in the same spot as football in terms of bringing in a new youthful, energetic head coach. It's certainly going to be a lot of fun. Once again, thanks to our sponsor, Harrell & Harrell. Give them a call at 251-1111. If you need a personal injury attorney, they'll take great care of you. My name is Hayes Carline, joined by Graham Marsh. This has been Bringing Back the Gators. Thanks so much for listening, and we can't wait to have another episode for you next week. Have a happy 4th of July, everybody.